G'day viewers, how we doing? We are here on Niddertalbahn. Just having a look at the sound. I think it's working. Looks like it. Hello Nathan, how are you? Let's go and jump in our train, shall we? It's a bit wet. It is the 628. Let's close him up. Shall I leave this? No, I'll turn him on. I'll turn him on, but remind me to turn him off before we change ends. Just turning on the safety systems, PZB and CIFA, which I shouldn't have done before I put the reverser in, but that's okay. Oops. I need to impose some stuff on my desk. Bad day. Bad day. Almost over my tea as well. How is everyone this morning? There's a few people in the chat. No, it's not a DMU only route, NJTE. There are also freight. And you see 103s on it as well if you have the other German route that just came out, Linke Rhienstrecke. Hold the engine start. It's already running, but you know, we'll just ignore that. Hello, Patriola61. Set the train brake to release. We might want some windscreen wipers too, eh? Might want them both. There we go. Have window open? Nah, it's wet. What about some instrument lights? Don't want a cab light. Don't want those. I want headlights. I want some instrument lights though. Where are they? I've lost them. Mirrors. It's got to be here somewhere. Instrument lights. Fine, we'll do it the hard way. No, they're already on. Oh, it's that one. Instrument lights on. Let's brighten them up. And let's get going. How good is it to finally have a German train where we honk the horn? I'll show you the workaround for the safety system issue in this scenario too. Hello LaserJet 899 overshoots. Hello Patriola61. As we come into Stockholm. Pick up some people here. There's a 365 hiding up there in the distance. CIFA, better known as the Angry Dog. That was most of my job yesterday on Puffing Billy, was pressing our equivalent of CIFA. To get our non-people that aren't here into the train. There we have some wheat growing, our nice little signal box. I hadn't noticed them before. Flower boxes on the signal box. There you go. There's lots of little Easter eggs on this route as you look around. We found an owl on Thursday night stream up in a tree. It was just sitting up there. It was animated. We do have the really cool signals. So when I shut the doors, in just a moment. In fact, we can hear an owl. Should we go find it? So if I shut the doors, we should see this signal change. Gates are going down at the far end up there. I am looking at the right signal, I hope. Not that one. Ha! That one! That was lucky I moved then, wasn't it? Alright then. NJT says he thought this would have been the modern day version with Dostos and the 245. They actually got sick of the modern routes, I think, and they wanted to produce something older. So out we go, out of Stockholm. As we come out of here, we'll watch the signal, because we can. The P boards that you see mean to actually honk the horn. Don't be too surprised if there's a modern loco bundle for it in JTE at some point in the future. How's the sound levels for people today? I had a little problem with my mixer. Just right at the start, of course. I did my sound checks and it was fine, and I went to start the stream and there was nothing. Off to Glauberg in this rainy, sad day. This would make the wheat farmers sad. All this rain. The real train that I was driving yesterday was remarkably like this one, in that it's diesel hydraulic, but not like this one in that it was a real train. I've got those words that every fireman wants to hear when you're out on the day. When the driver goes, "Do you want to drive the next couple of turns?" And you go, "Yes, yes I do." Thanks, Lexic Dark. Ah, that'll do. Near enough. Door's open. Are there any people? It's a lady in a bush. Let's go visit a lady in the bush. Where's she gone? There she is. Hi. You getting on? Sure. Alright. Now remember, in this route, you have a 1% chance of crossings failing on you, and you have to come and turn them on here. So if that happens, you have to stop before the crossing. So we load up our passengers. Hello, Duckington, 60 kilometres an hour. And that did, in fact, just answer a quiz question for you, so remember that. How about we start the quiz? Actually, let me find a larger notepad so I can write down people's names, and then we'll start the quiz. So, this Train Sim World 3 route is set in the 1990s. But when did the first 628.0 come into service? I might point out this is a 628.2 in the game, not a 0.0. Up we go to Lindheim. The 628 will happily go a lot faster than that. I had it on Linke Rhienstrecke the other day. Oh, apparently I've driven 42 kilometres. I think I've actually driven quite a bit more than that. But one of the challenges of swapping builds between beta and preview and public is I'm not in public very much, so I tend to get all the achievements again while I stream, which is funny. CIFA. Whoops, wrong button. I just pressed the left door's unlock button instead of CIFA. That might do interesting things when we get into a thing. Patriotal 61 says 1968. NJT says June 1980. Patriotal, higher. NJTE, lower. I like how the foliage reaches in towards the train here. What I'd really love is for trains to push foliage away in this game one day. And as usual, everything happens at the same time. And am I sneakily going really fast? Yes. Yes, I am. Dave Randall's gone 1981, lower. NJTE's gone early 1970, higher. You want when they went into revenue service? I think the first ones were in testing in 1970, but they weren't in revenue service. NJTE has it, 1974. Since I am going fast, I might break this a little early. First points on the board for NJTE. We're coming to Lindheim. Be a pretty little town to live in. I live in a fairly pretty town. If it wasn't for the junkies on ice, it would be quite good. Station we found the owl at in the last stream, but I don't see it up in the tree up there. So they might be random too. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if it opens the left-hand doors now, since I pressed that button before. No, it didn't. That's good. Has opened the correct ones. That's also good. I'm just looking to see if the owl's up here, but no, this is the branch the owl was in, so I think the owl must be random. Sometimes here, sometimes not. Scanning up the tree. Don't see it up here anywhere. It's a cool camera angle. I think we might depart from here. Richie Peach, a little late to the party there, mate, but not 1992, no. So the 628.2 did come out in the 90s. That's what I'm driving today. NJTE said, so I was looking at the difference between the R160 pilot set and the production sets, and the only differences are no flip-up corner seats and no metal on the side of the interior windowsill. That's okay. What they've probably taken out is the things that people can smash. That's what they usually take out of trains. Patriotal 61 would say an owl would be nocturnal. Owls are around during the day. I do hear them sometimes. We have them around here. Off we go to Altenstadt, in the town of Hesse. What's always interesting when you're talking about owls is whether you're talking about owls or you're talking about nightjars. Related, but different. That's a fair enough thing to do, Ricky Peach. It's always worth a try. Hello, Rail Airball. Welcome. We are cruising along in a 628.2 on Niddertalbahn. In a very rainy and wet day. Yeah, I think they do Patriotal 61 in general, but you also get barn owls who do hunt during the day, and you also get all the other variants like egrets and things like that, which are very similar sort of species, which do actually hunt during the day. Sad that I know about birds. No, I'm not sick, Rail Label. Why do you ask that? Am I sounding nasally or something today? Maybe the microphone's just in a different spot. You know, it just occurred to me. I don't think I drank my coffee. I think it's still on the bench. I'll go and get it in a moment. Wrong button. Correct button. Also correct button. Noisy Sifa. Coming to Altenstadt in the town of Hesse. So while it's loading in Altenstadt, I will go and grab my coffee. This I really like. Go up over the train. The overgrown sidings. That I like. We could actually stop, hadn't we? Might be a good idea. Alright, while that's loading, you can talk to Chair for a moment and I'll go grab my coffee. Wasn't even on the bench, it was still in the Mioletta. Hadn't even poured it out of the maker yet. It's a bit sad, isn't it? Cherry tree. Always good to see. Patriotal 61 says, don't think begging DTLG will do anything for you. Depends what you're after and how it fits into their timing, I would suggest. Richard Lawbystars says, just been on this route having to do with PZB and a tree on the line. Such fun. Determined to get used to using PZB on the German routes. This is not a bad one to learn PZB because it's fairly relaxed. Turn my wipers off. I did. One thing to watch with PZB on this route, if the flashing signs, the flashing white lights for the crossings aren't working, you have to acknowledge them. Rail label says he really wants the Niddertalbahn. There's the limit of shunt sign. Interesting how railways around the world all have the same concepts. Probably because they work, I suppose. I was chatting on socials with an Indian guy about their signalling, and I commented it was remarkably like the signalling on the railway I'm on, and he said, yes, it's really modern. And I went, well, actually, as has been there since 1903. And we haven't changed it at all. I wish I had giveaway keys, I really do. We don't have any lately. Off we go to Hawks, in the town of Nidder. Or is it Nidder? I think it's Nidder because it's got 2 Ds. Rail Label says, is the Niddertalbahn like a limited route? No? Well, I'm not sure what you mean by limited, but no. That's true, Dave Randall. It does work. It's not completely true, NJT. I know British Ace, when he hit 10,000 subscribers, got given a bunch of keys to give away, but they are holding them for events. So there will be specific things where they'll give us keys to give away. Just change the way they work a little bit, which is fine. I bought the Humble Bundle set, and I'll be giving away some keys for that. Richard says, yes, that's what I thought. The route is good for learning PZB, not too difficult. I did get caught in a couple of times, caused through panicking. Yes, it's very easy to do. I'm at the point now where I'm relatively used to PZB, but I still mess it up. Patriol 61 wonders what the big update will be this summer. And while I was reading that, I was not stopping. Naughty me. Ooh, I see something there. I think I see something. Let's just jump out and have a look. I see a milk bottle. There we go. We have a rose bush. Milk bottles, if you don't know the history of it, when you're building a route in Train Sim Classic, I won't shut that door, I'll shut up the others. When you're building a route with Train Sim Classic, everywhere where you're going to put an asset that you haven't got, a milk bottle shows up. So you put the asset in, but it doesn't exist yet. So the idea is to go through your route before you release it and find all the milk bottles and replace them. Hello, Florian, how are you? No, it's not like McDonald's, mate. It's not here for a limited amount of time, Rail Label. It's once the DLC comes out, it's out. Actually, I shouldn't say that, I suppose, because none of them have gotten old enough to disappear. Well, apart from the old NEC, that disappeared. They don't normally put brand new routes on sale. Not normally. Alright, off we go. This is about as taken care of as you get for... Did I just start driving off with the doors open? I think I did. This is about as taken care of as a country route gets. It looks remarkably like the route that I operate on in real life. Limited resources, limited money. It is a good route, Florian. I actually enjoy showing this one off. You do get the occasional route where you go, how am I going to summon up the excitement to show this off? This one is good. Fortuitous bridge shot. There we go. I'm actually connected to Dovetail Live today, so I can upload stuff. And I have a red signal coming up. Better do something about that. That was an advanced signal warning me that there's a red coming, and the train's applied the emergency brakes by itself because a tree fell down. Let's go look at the tree. Did you all see that? Tree go boom. Hello, CCT Mitch. I better get back in the cab. Waiting for directions from my scenario. Yes, I will turn off the safety systems. I'll actually go and do that before we put that back on minimum. And I'll go and turn off the safety systems now so I don't forget. Because bad things happen if you forget to go up the other end. More with that one. Thank you, NJT, for the reminder. Has it actually told me to do the next task? Oh, it has. No? No, it hasn't yet. Come on, scenario. Or do you want me to go look at the tree? Maybe the scenario wants me to go look at the tree. Off we go. Oh, you're looking at the tree. Just, in fact, thinking of key things. What have I got? What have I got? TSW3. See who gets that. Now, back to the train then. Not that the scenario's told me to do anything yet, but we'll just do stuff. Richard says he got stuck here. I'm changing cabs, I couldn't get the machine to move. Yeah, if you leave the safety systems on, bad shit happens to you. It's a bug. Alright, let's close the door. Sit back in the chair. I think it still hasn't actually asked me to do anything yet, which is a bit sad, because it should have. Made the go via. Alright. Just start doing stuff then. We'll just pretend it's fine. So brake to off. Off. That's what we want. Find the right spot for the key. Here we go. And put you to tail. Train power off. Reverse it back to neutral. And out. And the rest of the stuff we can just leave alone, I think. I'm a bit surprised the scenario's not telling me what to do, because it has every other time I've played it. I think it's just bored of me. Either that or when the train emergency braked, it didn't go up far enough to trigger the next event, which is quite possible. Oh yeah, it's 2 trains. Better get out then. Note my wonderful passenger communication at this point. Telling them everything. Give me the door. Go on. Close the door. There we go. I could try going through it. I actually think it would work. Because I doubt it's got a collision box on it. Train power. We're now down in the control car, so it will be very quiet down here. And brake key. Cut brakes in. Release. And let's turn the safety systems back on, but I have to do it through the keyboard because there's no other way to do it. And off we go. Wipers. Very quiet in here unless you open the window, and you can hear the engines a little bit. So I don't know if it's actually going to run the whole scenario for me because I didn't trigger the next event. Because you see all these things that I've done that it wanted me to do, but it didn't ask me to do. So I think we found a little bug. But that's okay. We'll just take it to the next station and we'll leave it there and run the next service. Rail labels yelling at me. Yeah, the scenario instructions don't... Well, the scenario instructions really never involve safety systems because they assume that you're not playing them. Oops, did I not acknowledge that thing? I didn't acknowledge it. Sigh. There we go. I didn't acknowledge. I'm clever. So I say I'm getting used to PZB and then I do that. Yes, the trampolines on the tracks on Island Dine do. I went closer to the tree and inspected it, rail label. Bricks are releasing. We'll move in a moment. Yesterday was good, CCT Mitch. I drove the last of the Thomas sets, last Thomas run. It's good, down to Cockatoo and back up to Lakeside. Good fun. I may share a video with my members, I may not. Let's see. I can't think of any particular reason why I can't, but I might just check before I do. I know they don't care about us showing video of the outside of the train, but the inside might be a bit different. Why is that all flickery? Stop that. That was actually a bug that got fixed a long time ago, and it's clearly come back. Hello people, we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the last stop for our service today, since we have a tree. And we're going to go and drive some freight. Alright then, that's enough of hugging trees. Why don't we do a question while I get into the freight. Patriel61 says, saw Thomas met Diesel? Yes, indeed. Face to face. Richard Lawbuster says, my best friend now lives in Melbourne with his wife and 2-year-old daughter. Advised him to have a day out at Puff, which he's going to do. Excellent. It's a good fun thing to go and do, especially if you like trains. Even if you don't like trains, a lot of people seem to enjoy themselves, so it's good fun. And if they're on a day when there's a strange hairy man in the locomotive, get him to come up and say hello. What was I going to do? I was going to run 77001. I'm going to run a little bit of freight. That one. And yeah, we'll do it with clear. Why not? Florian says he's been caught out with PZB on the level crossings here. If they don't blink, you need to acknowledge. Yes, indeed. And if they're not blinking, you acknowledge, stop the train, and go and set everything up. So, main switch. I've got to try and remember how to use this. Change over. First forward. And turn on Indusy, which is the original version of PZB. What else do I have to do? Actually, I won't put any headlights on at the moment, because we're going to do a little bit of shunting first before we take off. Instrument lights I want. Engine light, don't care. Sure, that should be step lights, not stem lights. Alright. Wait a moment. Is it really going to make me sit here for 10? It really is going to make me sit here for 2 minutes. Alright. Stop that. We're going to go and have a look around, since we have to sit here. Try and get down. Don't want to climb up, I want to climb down. No, I want to climb down. I do hate the workaround of getting in and out of this thing. Yay! Gas cylinders? That should always be chained to something so they don't fall down. What else can we find around this place? Oh, it's almost time to go anyway. Won't go very far then. Hear an owl. One of the things you'll find about Niddertalbahn is you can walk around all over the place. You can visit interesting things. Like, here's someone's veggie garden. It's just lots of little Easter egg type things around the place. Let's go and jump back in our train. It wants us to go now. Better turn on the markers so I know which way to go. And it does in fact want me to go that way. Okay. Did I do it right? Yes. Could be carrots indeed. Better check these points, haven't I? Of course they're not set. Come on, set. Set them. Set. Yeah, I think I just set them back. No, we're safe. It's all good. More brake, more brake. Wait until 10:28. Are we meeting another train, maybe? Seems like a strange thing to do, send us down here and then tell us to wait. But that's okay. Hello, Neil TB8. Who got the key? Mitch has been mucking around with the Jubilee and content creator. That's good. Witchy Peach says, I feel like me and Shunters are not a good mix. Oh, they're alright. And Patriol61 says, took him ages to find PZB on the Dresden route. This is the 635, yes. What's mainly different is the version of PZB it runs, and you've got this radio as well, which the other ones don't have. So we had wait till 10:28, and now it's turned into wait till 10:29. Okay. We should fly. While we're waiting, did hear an owl somewhere. I'm going to try and find it. Ooh, flying people. Well, that's interesting. We are waiting for a train. Here it comes. I heard one moving. No? I'm sure I heard one moving. Maybe not. Stop at location Altenstadt. Our points set. No, they're not. So go out into the main line. That one's fine. Then we're on mainline points. Alright, off we go. And we can put on some headlights now too, so we know where we're going. Make our way out of the sidings and we'll power up. Rail Level says, watching my Hugging Trees video today. Cool. Do you enjoy it? And Florian says the detail on this route is incredible. So much love went into this. Make, Lucas and Ed and the team excelled in this. Indeed they did. They did some very, very good work. And Richard said he already owned it when he got put the key in. And yes, it is Unreal Engine 4 on the whole game, Richard. Changing to 5 is quite a big deal. You notice everything in this train's branded TSG as well, Train Sim Germany. So this is in fact the Train Sim Germany Funken. Does it make techno music? That's what I have to wonder. We have a green to come out of the yard. And Neil says this route is incredible, struggling to find all the route tasks on his own. It is hard to do. It's a fast W-class, Mitch. Off we go with lots of power. Just turn off that boring marker. Out on the Niddertalbahn main line. The farmers with the wheat will be happier today. It's a nice bright day. Still a tinge of green in their wheat, so it's getting ready for harvest, but not there yet. The crops do change as the seasons change. So if you're in the height of summer, the wheat's totally brown. If you're in spring, it's a little bit green. And if you're in winter, it's gone. Which is a cool thing. I think that's, yes, Richard, it makes funkin' music. NJT, pink leaves. Yes, on the cherry trees, there are pink leaves. And CCT Mitch said he ran his HOW class yesterday. That's good. I have pegged the speedometer. I wonder how fast we're really going since I pegged the speedo. Oh, we are actually going 60. Richard asks, am I on the rail driver today? I am indeed. And Florian says only if you push the buttons in the right order. And don't forget that it's more like doof doof uns 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 kapati 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 uns 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 doof doof. You have to do it right. And Rail Label, yes, I know Dead Rail actually. He's in the ambassador program. Sticks his head in beta occasionally too. So he's influencing some of the English trains. Nice guy. Explains things very, very well. Chug along with our little tiny German 365. Remarkably like the 363, but not quite. Neil TV8 says he's found almost all the crossings, posters, milk and statues seem difficult to find. Waiting on a guide from CV. Chris Vasquez, I assume. I could tell you how Chris finds them, but it would ruin the magic, I guess. NJT asks what's the difference between the 365 and the 363. This radio and the version of Indussy, and that's about it. I haven't spotted anything else different with it. I like all these little creeks and rivers. I also like that there's things growing in the water. Richard says that he can't buy a rail driver anywhere in Europe just now. They are very difficult to find in the Netherlands. Oh, that's a bummer. What's freight like from America? Is it terrible like it is to here? Most of the time if you buy something from America in Australia, you pay as much for freight as you paid for the item. And Rail Label says he wants a rail driver but doesn't have the money. That's okay, these things will come. I've had mine for a really long time. Hey, one thing that's cool on this, if you jump into a 628 in an AI service, it actually honks the horn. So it's joined the ranks of the few locomotives that do that. The Class 20s do it as well, and the British Rail ones. .9 k's to Altenstadt. We did a move a bit like this yesterday with the diesel and the 262 NA steam engine hooked together coming back from Lakeside. A little light engine run, which did sort of amuse people on the level crossings, I have to admit. They're like, what is that? I always have the doors open in a cab, Florian. Even yesterday I had the doors open until it got cold. Then we closed them up again. And we had them closed when we were light engine with the NA, because the cab would fill up with smoke if we didn't. The glorious thing about steam engines when they're not working very hard is they smoke a bit. And that wasn't working very hard because our diesel was doing 99% of the work. We have some corn. Yeah, NJT, if you can't get yourself a rail driver, actually, NJT makes a good point. I do it too. The Xbox controller is actually very good for controlling this game. I find you need a keyboard as well. The controller's not enough, but it's pretty good. It's not quite as good and realistic as the rail driver, but it's not bad at all. Rail Label says that he's 11. How have you got a YouTube channel when you're 11, Rail Label? You're meant to be 13. Neil TV8 has had his rail driver since 2015. Yeah, mine is 2001 vintage. I bought it to play MSTS, which was the beginning of 3D train simulation. I didn't acknowledge something, did I? I'm naughty. Release. Let's wait for our brakes to come off. Hello, British Host. Welcome. Richard says he can confirm that because he sat as a passenger in an AI service on this line and the horn did go off at the right times. Alright, little train, off we go again. We'll pretend that I acknowledged PZB and it's all good. Lexic Dark says it's because the US just-in-time system is broken as the container ports Pacific Coast are clogged and they now have all the empty containers not sending them back, so prices are going up. Yeah, it's a good business to be in at the moment, making shipping containers. I know an engineering company that was making house trusses and building trusses, and they've actually switched to making shipping containers because they're making more money. Yeah, Richard, it comes down to what you're used to and what you prefer to use. I like using the rail driver because I've had it for ages. I was very happy when the game started to support it. I was sad when it didn't. I was one of the people in Matt's ear all the time. Rail driver, rail driver, rail driver, rail driver. We got there in the end. As we come into Altenstadt. Gradle61 says we have daylight saving tonight in the UK. Hate losing an hour. I was actually trying to figure out whether our daylight saving switched last night or is it next week. I kind of think it's next week. But it was light when I got up this morning, which was weird. My stream times will change with daylight savings time, yes. We'll come out of daylight savings and go into normal time. Daylight savings is the dumbest thing ever. No one needs it. No one wants it. Hello, people. Bye, people. Strange break, this one. Parked in the middle of a level crossing. That's how you do it, folks. Annoying the locals. Just wait for our points to change and I'll catch up with the chat. Why don't you find someone that's got a rail driver, Richard, and give it a try? NJT remembers last year in July that I streamed at 6:30 for you. I didn't move my streams, no. Daylight savings moved them. Back we go. Just check the points and make sure they're fine. They are. We'll go and get our train. Brakes off. A little bit of throttle. Our clock's changed at 3 AM, but like I said, I'm not sure if it was last night or if it's happening next weekend. Catch up with the chat and we'll do another quiz question in a moment. Just want to concentrate on this a little bit so I don't crash into them, because that would be kind of sad. Crashing into codes is really a good idea. Let's put our coupler down too. You can link and pin with these things if you want to. You don't have to use the mechanical coupler. Back you come, little creature. Alright, so it's next week they change then. Bonk. Ah, it's a bit hard, wasn't it? Bonked it. There we go. Are you going to figure out that I coupled? Or not? Because I have. Yay! Alright, that's the end of that little service. Bronze? Bronze? Ah, fine then. And we'll run the second part of that service, which is actually taking those carriages somewhere. So let's do that. Then we'll go back to... Help if I did the right thing, wouldn't it? That one. We're going to tow our train. Let's do it in... Yeah, foggy. Why not? Foggy sounds good. Alright, let's set this up again. Front headlights. Power. Changeover. Forwards. Turn on Indussy. You know, I actually logged a bug that this was called Indussy and not PZB. Mate told me off. But it's meant to be called Indussy. We get to sit here now for 1.5 minutes because apparently there's 2 minutes in every service to set up now. So, catching up with chat. Yes, there's lots of chat about daylight savings. And ours changed at 3 AM, I think. Or 2 AM, one or the other. One of the hours disappears. Or we get it twice, depending on which end you're going in or coming out. But these days, hello Alex Canadian Rail Productions, these days it really doesn't matter because your phone just changes and you don't care. And Richie Peach says it's Richie and a Richard, prepare to get confused. I'll just keep calling you Richie. Lexic Dark says next week, thank you. Richard says next week, thank you. And Richie says ours are in 3.5 hours. Yeah, so it'll change a little bit for you. And Rail Label says, when I made my How to Drive the Class 465, I was really proud for it. Took a day or two. Realised I hadn't even put the headlights on the train. Do you know how often that happens? And let me show you a good way to do it. Right? This, you won't be able to see the details of it, but this is my checklist that I use when I'm making tutorials to make sure that I make them reasonably consistent and that I try and include everything. So I go and tick stuff off as I do it. But yeah, it's actually quite hard to do. It is a bit of a challenge. Let's do a question. So, how long is the route as represented in the game? Time to go. Brakes off. I'll leave it in quick release. That would be bad. Let's get it into running. We should have our carriages coming with us. We do. This is apparently sugar beets. Sweet things. I didn't check these points. I hope they're okay. They are. 31 kilometres, says Dave Randall, who did in fact get in first. So first points on the board for Dave. We should do questions at a little bit better frequency too. So we'll do another one right away. So today, while the 628 is described as a diesel multiple unit, what was it described on as its launch as the 628.0? They do use them as to-do list dyslexic duck, and that's the way I use the checklist as well. I kind of use it as a script. Richard says sugar beets in water by the look at it. It's actually 16 miles, by the way, all the people that are saying 19. It's 31 kilometres or 16 miles. And the next question is, while today the 628 is described as a diesel multiple unit, what was it described as on its launch as the 628.0? Close, Dave Randall. It replaced the rail bus, which is in fact a question later, so remember that. The sugar beets are heavy, you know that. I have given this all the beans, and we are accelerating, but slowly. Tugger, tugger, tugger goes a little easy. It's four-wheel freight cars. Here's an interesting thought for you. All around the world, railways tend to keep their freight trains under about 1.5 kilometres long, which is about a mile. Except in the US. In the US, they're often getting up to the 2-mile length. And they seem to be getting a lot of derailments. Does anybody think these two things are connected together? That maybe they're just pulling a little bit too much now. There's just too much stress in the train, so when the slightest thing goes wrong on the track, off they go. My gut feel is the lack of resilience in American trains currently is that they are simply too big. Catching up. Accumulator rail cars. Well, that's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that one before. But no. Actually, I'll go with rail car. Because it's actually a 2-car diesel rail car. So I'll go with rail car. Gets NJTE the points on that one. How many stations are there on the route? One of the interesting things when you're running the Thomas trains and you're coming into the platform, so as we approach Lakeside, there's a wigwag crossing that you have to honk the horn for, and it's right next to the play area where all the little kids are, and the petting zoo and the story time and all the other stuff at Thomas. So on the occasions when I'm lucky enough to drive like yesterday, I'm kind of mindful of the number of ADHD kids that turn up to ride Thomas. So I tend to go up on the horn rather than a long one. And that, I think, the warning I'm going to have to stop soon. But this signal's not at stop. But I have to slow down to, I think, below 40 kilometres an hour at the moment. I think that's what that signal meant. I've clearly slowed down too much, but that's okay. In fact, I'm going to stop. That's also okay. Better to stop and not fail. Who got the question in right? Richie Peach was first with 14. Very good, Richie Peach. First points on the board today. For you, I mean. 10,000 feet still a lot, isn't it, NJTE? Let me just do a quick conversion here. I think that's... yeah, it's still nearly 2 miles. That's still pretty long. That's 1.8 miles. Thomas would do a double peep if we had a real Thomas, but we don't. We have a baby Thomas. Our Thomas is very sad, actually. Our Thomas hasn't got a boiler at the moment. It went in for an examination. There's rather a large crack in it, so it's been taken out of service to be replaced. But Thomas was still there. Just didn't have a boiler under his Thomas suit anymore. It's alright, kids don't know. They can't really tell the difference between a steam engine and a smoke machine. Here we are at Icon in the town of Nidder. This route introduced an animated bird. What is it? Never had it in the game before. They really sending. Oh, we must have been a meet. Let's stop and watch this one leave. Because he's going to go in the other direction. So we'll just sit here while the 628 gets ready to go. Dave Randall with Al. Very good, Dave. Bye-bye, 628. Enjoy your trip to Stockholm. Might be a little while before it moves since I just released the brakes. Off we go. I like the little yellow marks on the wheels so people who, when you're shunting, they can see if it's slipping or not. What is that flying past on the platform? That looks like markings off the carriages, doesn't it? Oh, I better put that in my bug list for reporting. It's at 109. I'll add that to my report list for after the stream. Some more power on. Away we go. You learned all 197 flags of the world, Rail Label. I think there's more than that. Aren't there something like 223 different countries? I'm impressed that you went to that effort. It's a good thing to do. Do you actually remember them all? Away we trundle through the fog. Wood is shine. Apparently, yes. That's 195, apparently. Apparently, there's 195. Anyway, it probably depends on your politics of how many countries there are, I suppose. Because some countries are recognised and some aren't. Russia, for example, would rather that we didn't recognise Ukraine. But we do. Sucks to be Russia. Questions. How many stations are trains allowed to pass each other? Richard says he takes it there might be an update to Trenton add-on soon to fix the bugs on it, such as disappearing quaternary and poles. Yeah, it's probably getting about the right timing. It's about the right sort of time frame between release and the patch update coming out, so I can't confirm or deny any kind of patch that's coming, but it, you know, it just feels like the right kind of timing. So you're probably right, Richard. And I know there were quite a lot of comments on things in it. By and large, I find it to be quite an enjoyable route. I'd love there to be more services, so we will wait and see what happens with that. Oh, I had to acknowledge that signal and I didn't. I'm making a habit of this. Yeah, that's very true, Rail Label. Have a little bit of brake and release the PZB. Brakes are pumping up, so this is the brake pipe that's pumping up here. Goes up to about 5 bar. And as soon as you hit 4, the brake cylinders start to release. So. Oh, you can hear the little compressor. How cool is that? Off we go again. Neil says he hopes they fix the 79 mile per hour access issue before Metro Park. That would be good. And no one's got the answer right on the number of passing stations yet. So let me go Dave, higher, Patriotal, higher, Florian, higher, Dave, higher. Yes, Florian's Wang Bremsung. And what does Wang Bremsung translate to, really? It's the train saying to the driver, idiot. Dave Randall for 6, well done. The 628 has one powered and one unpowered car. What are they called? They both have the word car in the name. Richard says, yes, Trenton add-on is a nice route. Doesn't know why, but I do far prefer the US passenger services to the slow-running US freight services. I do as well. Some of the freight's fun. I actually think Sherman Hill's kind of fun, to be honest, because it is a little bit variable. I kind of like it. I like Cajon Pass going down, but the rest of the time I can live without it. Going up's kind of boring. You just set the throttle and go. Climbing up the little hill here. I'm going a bit slow because I kind of think that signal back there was a little adverse. We've got a green shunting signal coming into here, so we should be okay. Close, Patriotal 61, who says train car and trail car. Close. Yeah, I find the same kind of thing, that I have the freight routes, but I don't play them very much outside streaming them and learning them, beta testing them. Look out, people. Freight coming through. Don't think I had to acknowledge that one, but after all the stops, I think I'll just acknowledge all the signals now. Gradually pick up our speed again. Dave said driving and trail. It's an old-fashioned term. What a great camera angle. Doesn't get better than that. Let's try that again. That's better. What's my frame rate doing at the moment? Oh, that's not too bad. Fog kind of does that. I do wish we had trains that could push foliage out of the way. I reckon that would be great. Florian says Sandpatch will always have a soft spot for me, even though Cajon and Sherman have longer trains and better physics. Yeah, Sandpatch is kind of fun. Sandpatch is where you learn about controlling your rear cabs, because if you don't, bad things happen to you. You can't get up the hill. Look at where you've been, not where you're going. Maybe I should sit on this side so we don't get smacked in the face with telephone poles. Which I don't know if you can do this when you're moving the train, but I think if I take that off, and then I think I can put on one. Where's the hotspot? Somewhere down here. Maybe I can't do it when I'm moving. There's a place where you can hang another one. It's a different kind. Can't find the hotspot though. Oh well. Better put them back on. I'll find the hotspot and show it in a video at some point, but I know you can hang a different one on there. Richard says, do you think we'll ever get Australian lines on Train Sim World? If we ever do, which would you like to see? High-speed rail doesn't exist in Australia. No, it doesn't. Very much not. We have stuff that we like to call high-speed rail, but its top speeds are 150 odd kilometres an hour, so it's not very high speed at all. If that's enough, so I better pop back into the cab, give it a bit more, I think. It's got the speed coming down now. We'll peep before the tunnel. I think it's a possibility to get them one day. I know that Matt has said a few times that he would like to do some research trips to Australia, so that could happen. Never know. Be cool. What would I like to see? I'd like to see... Well, actually, the line that I live on, I think, is quite good, because if you take it to its fullest extent, it runs what will be the airport line that's being built at the moment through to down along the beach to Frankston, or as I call it, Franganistan. And it also has steel trains that go out to a steel plant. If you did it in the right area, you'd also have the oil trains that went to Crib Point. There were, if you do it in the 50s, you could have coal traffic as well. So I think it would be quite an interesting mix with electric trains, steam trains, and diesel trains and freight. But I think realistically, because of where the player base probably is and where the money probably is, I think it would be more likely to be something in New South Wales. Purely because of where the money is. I think I'm going to stop a little bit early if this doesn't release quickly, and it's not going to release quickly. So off we go. Power up again. Patriottle 61's tried coach and trail. What was the name of a car before it was just a car and after it was automobile? I think your profile picture is fine, Rail Label. Richard watched a program on Australian Rail, and what a disjointed mess has been made of the cross-country passenger rail service. Yeah, it's a bit weird. We don't even have the same gauge in all the states. We do on the major lines now. They're all standard gauge, 448 or 448 and a third or whatever it is. But our Victorian commuter lines, for example, are still broad gauge, 5'3". They're going all the way back in there. Okay. And let's just go into reverse. And even though I'm going towards a red signal, I will have to move a little bit so the game knows what direction I'm going. Then do this. And I think I'll do save so I don't, because I'm worried this is going to spad. This contact signal didn't do anything. Haha, success. Yeah, but our railways are a bit interesting and a bit disjointed. I know in New South Wales at the moment the railways became a very strong election issue, and the parties changed power yesterday. Probably didn't help that the railways had a significant failure yesterday during the election. That probably didn't help anyone's cause. So I think it did get just a little bit messy. Coach and trail, motor. I saw motor something in there somewhere, didn't I? I didn't see motor something. Motor wagon. There we go. Sydney has got a metro, so is Melbourne. Very extensive. Our actual rail transport is quite large. Most people commute by train. Yeah, Sydney's digging more tunnels, so is Melbourne. What you'll discover is that every time Melbourne does something, Sydney will copy it, and every time Sydney does something, Melbourne will copy it. They're like that. We're in this constant state of war. Each one has to be better than the other. Sydney has recently reintroduced trams after spending 50 years saying how Melbourne's trams were shit. And we shouldn't have them. They're slow traffic. Well, now they've got them too. And that's okay. We forgive them. I think it'll keep rolling now. I think I released quickly enough. Did I? Not sure. No, it's going to stop. I don't want to have too much speed though, because I don't want them to bounce off each other. Motor car and trail car, says Patriel61. Well done, sir. Actually, no, that's not quite right. I'll give you half the points. Actually, motor car and control car. Oops, and I'm not paying attention, and I'm rolling the other way. Very clever. Dave Randall has got trams in Sheffield. And Richard says he gets the... I guess that's train to work here in Rotterdam. Or is it tram? Am I able to beg Dovetail Games for free routes via email, as in on your behalf, or are you going to do it? Well, I really don't think they'll do it. Just saying. If you had a good cause... Excuse me, coming through. Just step aside for the camera, please. It's going to hit you in the head. It really is. See? It hit you in the head. Lots of bricks. Can I couple them? Yes. It's close enough. That might be the end of this service, actually. I have a faint suspicion. When it figures it out. And it was. So we'll come back and finish this one later on with the third part. Yeah, Melbourne trams are pretty good, I have to admit. And they're achieving something that lots of governments say they want to do, which is get cars out of the cities. And they get cars out of the cities for the simple reason, especially the newest lines where they actually run down the centre and then they cross to the left-hand side to go into a stop. That really upsets car drivers. What was I going to run next? It's going to run 628. Has anybody made a livery on the 628 yet? RB 3694. And let's go back to March. And we'll do light clouds. Go. Rail Label says, are you able to get free stuff in some way? Get this going. Train power. Brake. Let's get the doors open. I like the light at the moment. Be setting up. Train lights on for our passengers. Signal lights normal, that's fine. I don't think there's anything else I need to do. Might turn the instrument lights up a little bit so I can see them. Don't need a desk light. Mirrors are fine. And the rest of it's all good. Let's go and turn on... I'll turn on PZB. I won't turn on CIFA this time because it's just an annoying beeping in your ear. And face it, I'm not going to fall asleep. Hello, how you doing? Oh, now they're just messing with us. Now there's a Dovetail fashion hoodie. Messing with us. Matt, if you're watching this, it's coming into winter. I want a Dovetail hoodie. Actually, why don't we go and have a wander around the station since we've got a couple of minutes? Hello. What do you guys think of the train, huh? You're standing here staring into the sun. It's very bright. Look, it's over there. It's going to come up above those buildings any second now. There it is. You're just cooking your faces. Can we go down here? No, we can't go down here. We can't go to the Ozgang. Five seconds to go. We can shortcut back in there and bonk. Brakes off. And away we go. Straight to notch 7. Patriot says 61, the big summer update will be the DTG clothesline. Why not? Why not? So who ended up getting that key to Train Sim World 3 that I gave away? Someone in the chat did, hopefully. Ooh, we've got that flickering thing happening again. Yes, there's a lot of content in this game and in Train Simulator Classic. I think in Train Simulator Classic there's something like 1500 DLC. There goes a 103. I like seeing them when they come up. Off we go to Gronau in the town of Hesse, in the state of Nassau. I think that's how you say it. It was actually a Train Sim World 3 key. It was the bundle. Patriotol 61's is on PS4. How are you finding the game on PS4? Is it still running okay now that we've got all this fancy TOD4 and things like that? I've actually got it on PS4 myself, so I kind of know the answer, but I'm curious what other people think. Because I got a PS4 key for it so I could play the Christmas thing with my nieces. Love the winter time with the fields empty and the trees empty. It's just nice. Let's go with another question. So, the 628 has got a motor car and a control car. And they're always in the two units connected together. Outside of the game, so being really clear, this isn't in the game, don't go looking for it. Outside of the game, was there ever a configuration that had two motor cars? Rail Abel says it's officially midnight for him in Sweden. That's a late night for you. Richard says there are about 48 services to the 628 on the Rhienstrecke Mainz Koblenz route. We'll have a look. On Linke Rhienstrecke, we'll have a look. There definitely are 628 services on there now. We had a quick look at that on Thursday night, but we'll have a proper look. We might even run one on that route. Why not? After we do this one. Rail Abel is sleepy. That's not a surprise, Rail Abel. And Dave Randall is looking there. Actually, I think Rail Abel answered it first with the yeah, which would be a yes. But I'm supposed to be slowing down. Clearly very naughty. Maximum brakes. That'll get us down to the speed. Made it. Just. So welcome to your first points, Rail Abel. Well done to you. It's okay to be tired, mate. And at midnight I would suggest that you do actually go to sleep. It's probably a good idea. Otherwise you'll be wrecked tomorrow. You'd want to be a rail fan living here, wouldn't you? Otherwise you'd be really annoyed. Florian says it's 48 or 49 on Linke Rhienstrecke. Very good. Yeah, it's my chat order. which is different to everybody else's, as we've discovered a lot. Alrighty, how do you turn on the safety systems in the 628? Straight to notch 7, full fang. Richard says at the Kiel Locomotive Depot, several of these 628s were driven for a while at up to 140 kilometres an hour. Because this seriously increased the wear and tear, these express duties were soon terminated. I think they made a special version of the 628 for the higher speed trains. But yeah, it didn't last long. Richard with the points with a valve. Cruise into the early morning on our way to Nidertalbahn, I think, maybe. So this next question is one of those ones that's really annoying for me to keep track of, but I'm going to ask it anyway. They're worth 10 points each. Name all of the stations on the line, and you don't have to get them all to get points. And it's the first one that turns up in my chat that gets the points. Rail Label says, my cat is black and white. We have a black and white cat here. We call it Panda. My wife does cat rescue, so our number of cats varies from time to time. We have some permanent residents, and we have some those that are with us for a while they get better, and then they go and find another home. I'm hoping that I've lucked upon one of the services that's got a cross. As soon as I stop and get the doors open, I'll start looking at the chat and start ticking stations off. Right, Dave Randall has Alton stat. I will take that spelling. Very good. Dave Randall has Patrol 6 Nidertalbahn. Yes. And Dave Randall has Niddertalbahn. Do I have a Niddertalbahn? Don't have a Niddertalbahn. There's Windecken, yes. But it's Heldenberg and Windecken, but I'll give it to you. And we've got Dave Randall with Bad Vilbel, yes. The Lasbury Stockheim. That's close to two other stations, though, just saying. Good night, Rail Label. Hello, SIT. How are you? We're waiting for a cross. And I'm asking lots of station name questions, so give us the station names on the route. Heldenberg, Windecken. Yeah, we've got that one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to go. See, unfortunately for you guys, there's no route map on this one, so, you know, you kind of have to open it in the game to get the station names. I'll go look around while you're working out station names, so we're not just sitting here. You might find the Wikipedia article useful. I haven't actually compared that to the names in the game. I know in beta, as he walks into the rose bushes, I did question that, but apparently it's real. It actually is like that. That light's really quite cool, isn't it? I think we can do that as a screenshot with no trains. Just because I can. Glauberg, Stockholm. Yes, Glauberg is a station. Yes. Dave Randall. We've got a few to go. Stockholm's actually a separate station, so I'll just give you the points for both, Dave Randall, because it's Glauberg and Stockholm. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to go, 8 to go. I could start getting points myself. I can. Yes. Florian. SIT says, wouldn't have a clue, not going to attempt it. Oh, go on. I kind of think we're waiting for a cross. We are waiting for a cross. Here it comes. So excited by a cross. There you go. I just think that's cool. See, I'm so used to Train Sim Classic where setting up a cross is almost impossible to actually get it working. So I'm happy to see them in Train Sim World. And I hope we can do this with Scenario Planner. I haven't tried yet. We'll still have to wait even though that train's, excuse me, hiccups here. Oh, I don't want to give it up. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stations to go. Oberdofelden, yes. Very good. Have you opened up the game now, Florian? That's the best way to figure them out. He's about to leave. Does he have P boards up here? Let's go have a look. Not sure if he does. I can't remember on this crossing whether it's got P boards or not. If it does, we'll hear him honk. If it doesn't, no, I don't think it does. So we won't hear him honk. That's a bit sad. We can watch him go. Now, here's an interesting fact for you that people might not know. When you hear the train wheels crossing the V-joint, or the frog, as it's often known, and you hear the clack-clack, that comes from the track, not the train, in the game. Let's head back up to our train while people are still answering questions. Lindheim, yes, so Dave Randall. I'll catch up with the others in a moment. I just want to get up to the train. Dave Randall's got Gronau, yes. And we've got Florian's got Buddersheim, yes. And Dave Randall's got Hoxt, yes. In the town of Nidder. Not bad. I want to keep my train, thank you. I like my train. I like it a lot. Now she'll sit in the chair, lock the doors, get the brakes off. And depart to Buddersheim. Killianstatten. Yes. It's a Dave Randall. What have we got left? Got one left. But I just want to make sure no one's said it. Oberdofelden we've already had. Has anybody said... This is going to give it away, but has anybody seen Weddecken? Not watching. Watching chat, trying to get numbers out. That's okay. Wait for the brakes to come off a bit. Did anyone say Windecken? I'm trying to look in the chat. I don't see anybody said Windecken, so I'll give myself the points for Windecken. How about that? Yes, Richard, that the track is not continuously welded. That is the cause of the noise. It's the little gaps between the track. You know what, SIT? For being a smartass, I'll give you 10 points. Why not? I think that's fair. Everybody else think that's fair? We appreciate a bit of humour. Dave did said it. He said it after I said it, but I'm not sure if he said it before I said it. Dave can tell me. I'm getting a light fog coming in. Now crossing is flashing, which is good. Healthy state, as we call it on our railway. Patriotal61 said he did say Niddertalbahn Windecken. Dave's very, very accommodating. He thinks everyone's fair. Everything's fair. Whoop. Got a level crossing not working. I'm going to go sailing straight through it. That's okay. What I should have done is stopped before the crossing and gone and pushed the button. That one. On this side it's working. Go figure, on the other side it wasn't flashing. And it clearly is working now because the gates are down, but on the other side it wasn't flashing. Maybe the light just wasn't working. Oh well, let's get back in the train and get out of here. That would have been a bit of a mean one to do that with because it's difficult one to get to. Do you know how long it took me to figure out there's a closed door button there? British Ace is going, get that HUD off. I think I'd be taking straight through a lot of platforms if I did that. Good night, Rail Label. Thank you for putting a like on the stream, Rail Label. I appreciate it. Oh. What didn't I acknowledge? What didn't I acknowledge? We're just going to annoy the cars now, you really. And they were going, why has he stopped? It's at this point now, railway, they'd start going through it again. Just while that's starting off, I'm not actually too sure what I didn't acknowledge up here. What tripped me? There's nothing. What tripped me? I don't see any magnets. Or did I just go too fast, maybe? Maybe I'm in... Oh, I'm in monitoring, aren't I? That's what the problem is. And I was about to do it again. That's funny. In fact, if I don't put a little bit of brake on, I'm going to go over it again. That's what the problem was. It was just me being a donger. NJT is back. Richard says, how would you know beforehand that the crossing needs manual operation and have enough time to stop? I think often the flashing white lights are actually quite a long way from the crossing. That one's an exception. So most of the time, if you went on full brakes, you would actually make it. Yeah, the only problem with having such beautiful train track clack sounds or track clacking sounds in this particular DLC is all those nufties that want it on the continuous welded rail modern DLCs will be going, oh, we did it on that one, you did it on Niddertalbahn, why can't you do it here? It's because they're nuffies, is why. I'm out of monitoring now, so I can speed up. I'm not going to speed up too much because I have to come down to 40 k's in a kilometre anyway. Yes, Patriotal 61, that's exactly what I did. I went faster than 45. And I could release, but, you know. Alrighty, next question. What did the 628 replace? And someone's already answered that ages and ages and ages ago. So if I scroll back to the start of the chat, would it be fair for me to pick up the answer from the start of the chat? Not that I've actually found it. But somewhere right back at the start of the chat, he's mentioned a number. Dave Randall with Railbus is correct. And for bonus points, what classes of Railbus? And one of them's already gone. So NJTE's already got 515, but there's two more. And just to give you a hint, they start with 7. Florian with the Sheehan bus. I'd turn on. So, watching chat. Remind me not to turn on PZB next time I'm going to be answering questions. Bye. It's not wise to turn on PZB when you're looking at people's answers to questions. Patriotal says 61 says horse and cart. I'll give you points for that. That's funny. Like, nay, it wasn't a horse and cart, but I'll give you the points anyway. NJT says the DBBR 515, 795 and 798. Some points for NJTE there, well done. Some bonus points. Now, among the Easter eggs on this route, of which there are many, there's one that's quite deep into the forest and can be a little bit hard to find. Does anyone know what it is? Yes, it does prove that PZB works when drivers get distracted. But I couldn't imagine most drivers actually are running a quiz at the same time they're trying to drive. Although you do talk to your offsider a lot. There are times when you have sterile cab and there's times when you don't. Sterile cab is the term referred to as you only talk about what's happening at the time, what's necessary for train running. Dave Randall, Tortoise, well done, sir. And Neil TV8 knows his name, bonus points for you. Pick those up when we come in here and stop. Bonus points for knowing the tortoise is called Freddy. Coming to a nice gentle stop. Maybe a little early. That'll do. Does happen. Righty, what is the official top speed of the 628? Version that's in the game, 628.2. I think it was the same top speed on the 628.0 and the 628.1 too, just saying, but it's There are some other versions that are quicker. Porridge. You're making me hungry. I had oats this morning, but it was as muesli, not as porridge. 120 for NJTE. That is correct. In what German state is the route set in? Bye-bye, people who didn't get on. Yeah, British Ace, I tend to agree. It gets up to 118 and not much more than that. Coming into the little tunnel. We're missing Metra, who's busy rail fanning in Colorado somewhere. Oh, look at the blinding light cast by the headlights. It's so bright. Sorry, I'm just making fun of the headlights. And we have the answer. Hess. Dave Randall was first. Well done. What is the predominant freight on Niddertalbahn? Yes, FDR was a strange person in JTE. There were many plans to change Germany. Sugar beets, says Dave Randall. Very good. And it wasn't flowers. Why does the F8 key always come out on this side of the train? Don't know why I always do that. There's lots of shots and bridges. We're heading for Heldenbergen, which is the freight locomotive that we've driven today that's included in the DLC. In fact, one of the DTG hate channels, which I often watch because they're very amusing and sometimes poke fun at, like now, did actually say that the 365 is not included in the DLC and that it comes from another route. That is not true. It is included in the DLC. You can uninstall everything else and you will still have a 365. DBBR365. You are correct, NJTE. And you took a little bit of a risk typing that much in, because Dave Randall was right behind you. Well done to you. Actually, we're not supposed to stop at this station. I was stopping here, but we're not meant to. Clearly. That's okay. British Ace wonders if the 365 was in the original spec. It was. And Richard said the clouds look excellent. They do look very nice. The TOD4 clouds are pretty good, especially in the early mornings. I find I play more early morning services than anything else because I really like the light. That's just the photographer in me, I suppose. Richard says the amount of distance detail is exceptionally good on this DLC. It is. It is something that they've done really well. You do pay for it in the frame rate, but I, for one, am prepared to pay for it. So, frame rate of it's just under 30, which for me is quite acceptable. But you are paying for the distant draw stuff. I should ask for a PS4 key for it, actually. Or one of the dual PS4, PS5 keys and try it on the PlayStation, because I'm curious as to what it's like. Actually, British Ace, you've got a PlayStation. What's it like on the PlayStation? Says he's slowing down way too much. Ooh, blackberries. Nom nom nom, blackberries. I like blackberries. On our railway, we have blackberries growing in some of the cuttings just like this, and when on track inspection, I have been known to stop and pick them and eat them when I'm running on time or running early. Another cross. Excellent. This is one of the stations where you might also see some high-speed trains from somewhere else. Florian says midday can be very bright on TOD4. I agree. I don't like it. Take that, Nuffy DTG hater channel that told me that I would never say anything against DTG. There you go. I don't like the midday light in TOD4. It's too bright and it washes everything out. It's okay if you're outside the train, but from inside the train, it's no good. Alright, let's get our doors open. Hopefully, if we're really lucky and timed it well enough, we'll see another train come in. We've had our cross. If we're lucky, we'll see an AI come through on the other route, which would be cool. Florian says it's brilliant on the PS5. He doesn't have a PS4 anymore. British Ace says on the Xbox Series X and PS5 it runs very well. Say a tad better on the Series X, although the audio isn't as good on the Series X. Patriotal61 says, I can't talk, suggests a blackberry pie with apple. I think that sounds quite nice. That would be good. Off we go. We're hiking to get to the town of Nitter. Patriotal61 says he's on PS4 but doesn't own the new routes yet. Florian says it's brilliant on PS5, doesn't have his PS4. I think I already said that though. And Richard said the DLC looks great on the desktop, which has a NVIDIA 3070 Ti. What am I running? A 3070 Ti or a 3080 Ti? One or the other. I can't remember. But yeah, it's quite happy. No major issues. This I really love, the grass in between the tracks, but it's not sticking up above the tracks. So you see that sometimes in the other routes, and that's not realistic because the trains would destroy it. But where the grass is at mowed kind of by the trains at track level, it's perfect like this. As we run down the hill, Just had some of my hardware complaining it's running out of battery power, and I realised it wasn't actually plugged in, so it's true. It is running out of battery power. That's okay. Roll down the hill towards Icon. Florian says he had 4 other trains here on the last run, 2 Regio services with 110 and N-Wagon and 2 other 628s. And Richard says he agrees on the grass. Yeah, it's just one of those attention to detail things. I know I've had chats with Matt about the grass on the various routes and trying to say it just wouldn't grow higher than the track. Not if the track is used. Here's a bit that's too high. The trains would just mow that down. It doesn't grow that fast. Even on our funny little steam route. Although we don't use the Gembrook section very much, if at all, in winter time. So when you're doing your first track patrols, when you're coming into spring and we start getting that part of the line ready for use again, it's not that uncommon to be driving through there and pushing grass over. That's grown up quite high if you're in there before the cleanup crews. Richard says beer replenishment time. Off for a bottle of German beer from the fridge. Very good. Most of you probably know this drink bottle relatively well. Interestingly enough, that drink bottle did in fact have a Kilkenny in it on Thursday night. Just saying. Not that you would ever drive a train while drinking a Kilkenny. No. Not in real life, anyway. Florian says, too tired for a beer at the moment. Start our speed coming off. I think it's time for another question, perhaps. What is the maximum line speed on Niddertalbahn? Niddertalbahn. Let's get it right. Richard says, talking of grass and living in the Netherlands, it's time to spark one up. All legal here. My last trip to New York, they had just legalised it, and there were people gleefully smoking out in the streets. It was quite funny. But just as a cautionary thing for Aussies when you're travelling, do not partake if you need to pass a drug test on the way home. British Ace is the first one with 60 kilometres an hour, and lots of guesses from NJTE that didn't quite get there. A quick stop. Essentially, this thing's like our diesel. It revs up when you release the brakes, getting ready for you to move. Are there any 628.0s still running today? Something I did wonder about coming through here the other day that I didn't go and look at. Oh yeah, there are little branches holding up the leaves. They're not just floating in the air. We go to Hoxton. Dave Randall is the first with a no, which is correct. Alrighty. Beyond the modelled route, what major German city could have been included? And a lot of the fan base were going, oh, I'm sad it's not there. It's actually correct that there are no 628.0s still in service. Dave Randall, first with Frankfurt. Well done. That is the correct answer. And while I tend to agree it would have been nice for Frankfurt to be there, I actually understand why it's not. It would be a serious project, building Frankfurt. The effort of building Frankfurt would probably be similar to the effort of building this route. It's that big. We've seen this bridge before. So while I think we should have Frankfurt one day, it's probably going to take a higher budget effort to make it happen. And then what would be cool is if they did make Frankfurt happen, including it here. I understand why it's not there, because if it was actually there, and they did go to the effort of doing it, it would be empty, so it would look silly. It would look a little bit like Penn Station does now on Trenton. It looks a bit silly because it's so empty. Righty then. Didn't you get people of Hoxt in the town of Nidder? Richard suggests with the current pricing, budget shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, I understand that kind of concept or wish from the player base. That lady was walking on the other ladies. Did you see that? There she goes again. She walks around on the other two. That's interesting. Passengers in TSW are so funny. Yeah, a bit like Birmingham New Street SIT. Off we go. Yeah, I understand why people with the pricing changes not that happy, but it's just a fact of life with costs of everything going up. I saw on the news another failing bank. It's the evil bank though, so it's never good that any bank fails, but Deutsche Bank is the evil bank. I know the company I worked for ages ago, back in the late 90s, was struggling financially. And they ended up borrowing money from Deutsche Bank, and it was 58% interest. Lorian says he thinks he'll head off to bed. Very cool. Sleep well, mate. Enjoy yourself. And NJT says eggs are more expensive. They are indeed. Eggs, bread, meat, everything is more expensive at the moment. And while it's not nice, it does feel like we are heading headlong into a global recession. Because unfortunately, the central banking economists still have their heads in the 1970s. The tweaks they make to the economy don't work anymore. Not in the way they think they do. NJT, there's been some others as well. There's been a Swiss bank and a German bank. You may not have even heard about that. as an American, though, because one of the things that I did learn when living in the US is that the news in the US tends to be only about America, and only really massive things happening outside of America actually get mentioned for the most part. Unless you get onto something like the BBC News channel, or one of the other foreign news channels, in which case you will get more information about other things. Lexic Dark is laughing his ass off. Yep. I'm not surprised you're laughing your ass off, Lexic Dark. You and I have had these conversations many times in the past. Another cross. This is an excellent service. I really like this service. If you want to play it, it's RB3694. It's got lots of crosses. I like it. That'll do. Let's pop out here and we can watch the other train nick off, which appears to have its headlights on the back. What's it got on the other end? I'll have to come up far enough so I can spin round in time. It's got headlights on both ends. Okay. Yep, headlights both ends. Let's put that on my list. We go to Lindheim, signal is green. It's a nice little station asset, this one. Altenstadt. Yeah, Patriel 61, it might have been one of the ones that picked up another train. Richard says, inventing unreal wealth by printing fictional money. What could possibly go wrong? Yep, that's pretty much it. Yes, the moment the planet left actual backed currencies, we were screwed. It seemed like such a good idea at the time. Oh well. Effectively, countries, to actually not have this kind of issue, countries need to run their budgets in the same way a household does. You need to be able to afford the things you're buying. If you can't, printing more money isn't an answer. In the exact same way it won't work in your house. If you go and print more money, you'll get in trouble. I think the whole world should have kept the gold standard NJTE. That would make some countries significantly richer than others that probably shouldn't be. But in my mind, that's the lesser of two evils. But that's okay. Off we go to Lindheim. And on to page 2 of our questions. Of what family of trains is 628? The family starts with V and a number. But economy is an interesting thing. I did once study it, and I decided while studying it that these people were idiots, and I stopped studying it. Ladies and gentlemen, now arriving at Lindheim. If you are leaving the train today, please take your belongings, children's, pets, service animals, and butterflies with you. Patriotal 61 and NJTE both say V8 is the predecessor. I actually have a different one. That's interesting. I have the V60. Lexic Dark says usury means we're doomed, it's just maths. And SIT says, let's be honest, the world's screwed. Yeah, it pretty much is. We just live with what we live with. Lovely stop. And Richard said, and to think in 2001 America had a balanced budget. 2001 with no deficit or surplus due to spending and revenue being equal, the budget was considered balanced. Australia did too. We've had balanced budgets a few times, but not anymore. Yeah, so I think my answer was probably incorrect on its predecessor. Oh, look at these people that suddenly stopped walking. They wanted to catch this train. Let me open the doors again and see if they start walking again. I'm curious. Will they? Or are they just going to stand there? No, they're just going to stand there. One of them, they've got their feet buried in the path too. Let's go have a look. That's why they're not walking. See? They're stuck in the path. They can't move. Poor people. Don't know what this guy's excuse is. He's fine. Passenger antics in Train Sim World are quite funny because they like following set paths and sometimes they can't walk around each other and sometimes they can. Patriotal 61 says the V8 is a rocket. You'll probably live to see it NJTE, I think. Yeah, SIT, I use my phone to pay for everything too. But I have learnt the hard lesson to, because that's linked to a credit card, and I have learnt the hard lesson is to keep on top of that, keep it paid off. NJT said perhaps people in the US should start using $2 bills again. Oh, maybe. We don't have any $2 bills anymore. They went away. We have $2 coins. Although the $2 bill with its little ram on it is still legal tender. Lexic Dark says the best risk position to hold is 0 and have the ability to produce commodities, not actually hold them, e.g. apples go off. Gold isn't going to work because you'll have to swap an ounce for a sandwich. There you go, ounce of sandwich for an ounce of gold, that's fair. Need something better than what we've got. I don't pretend to know the answers. But what we've got is crap. British Ace says it's all just a big scare, you'll be fine. We will all be fine. We do always find our way through it every time. I have been through several iterations of countries posturing at each other and the like. You'll notice that the larger countries these days have changed the way they go to war too. They don't fight war in their own countries anymore. They fight war in third-party countries. Ukraine is suffering that. It's West versus Russia in Ukraine, effectively. Taiwan may suffer it in the next 10 years. It's West versus China. We shall see. And BA and Lexic Dark are correct. Don't let it scare you. We've been through various Cold War-ish scenarios in our lifetimes. Various threats to everybody in our lifetimes. If this is your first one, don't let it worry you too much. The times of someone going to war because some other king said their wife was ugly are behind us. Even if his wife is ugly. There's a lot of people on this station. As we come into Glauberg. Question: what is the 628's power transmission? I'll accept one of two answers. One's not quite right, but I'll accept it anyway. Yeah, AUKUS is an interesting one, British Ace. It's basically a game of how do we convince China that Britain and America like Australia enough to defend it. That's what that's all about. That's all it is. It's nothing to do with money. It's nothing to do with submarines. Because the reality is our country is pretty much surrounded by American submarines. We go to Stockholm. It's the actual power transmissions. Yes, diesel hydraulic. It's actually hydrodynamic, but I said I could accept the one that's not quite right, which is diesel hydraulic. But it is a hydrodynamic transmission. So it's not just hydraulic. Is this a new asset? That's what's growing in my greenhouse at the moment. Grass. Because we're coming into winter. It's time to tear all the other crops out of it and replenish some more manure into it. My neighbours really enjoy it when we manure the greenhouse. Might do that this afternoon actually. It's not a bad day. I'll mow the grass and replenish the greenhouse. What do I think of Cairns, UK? No. People like each other? It's good. Why not? These funny little acronyms we come up with for stuff. Horse House says, "What's up, everyone? TSD, you learned this one fast." This is an easy one to drive. It's a pleasant train, it's nice and simple. Even if you get it totally wrong, recovering is easy. It's one of those interesting things. I've got the throttle on now. If I go into emergency brake and then release it, the train will just drive again, all by itself. When the brake's released, it'll just start driving again. Here it goes. It's powering up. Brakes are starting to release. Brakes are nearly zero now, and the train will start moving. There it goes. See? It's easy to drive. Well, trips for Aussies, New Zealand are always easy, VA, because we just fly there. We don't even need to take our passports. We just need to prove we're Australian. Ironically, the easiest way to prove you're Australian is, in fact, take your passport. But, yeah, we have freedom of entry into New Zealand as they do with us. We can work there, they can work here. There's a lot of New Zealanders working in Australia. It's all good. Brits can still come to Australia quite easily because we still are officially yours, I believe. Into Stockholm. It's time for another question, isn't it? What safety systems are on board? And there's some bonus points in this one. The bonus points are for getting the right version of the safety system. I'll finish that freight scenario in a moment. I was hoping to be able to run the Rio Grande after this, but unfortunately, as BA will attest very sadly, our keys don't work. Oh well. We have CIFA, yes, Dave Randall. Fire extinguisher. And PZB, Dave Randall. What about the bonus points for the version of PZB? Doesn't get a lot better than that for a stop. You know what, Lexic Dark? I'm going to give you points for the fire extinguisher, because I'm sure it has got one. Anybody for the version of PZB? What was that last stop like? I'm curious. Oh, 0.689 meters. You'd be pretty happy with that. Bit of a miss on that one before it, though. I do find it's a little bit hard to get gold on this one. What did I go to main menu for? That's what I wanted to do. Because we're going to go and finish that freight service. Part 3. There we go. And when will we do it? Let's do it in January, and let's do it in a snowstorm. That seems like a good idea. PZB 90. Well done, Dave Randall. 10 extra points for you. Alrighty. This one's a little bit technical, and let me type it in the chat. Where is it? So that, what I've just put in the chat, is the axle designation for the 628. Who can tell me what it means? Let's put the big headlight on since we're in the snow. Where's my instrument lights? There they are. That should be everything we need. Let's go and turn on Indusy. Interestingly enough, in the 628, it's actually not Indusy, it's PZB90, which Indusy was first and then PZB90, I think. Not 100% certain on that, but I think so. Windscreen wipers. Where the hell are windscreen wipers in this train? Over here? Sand, horn, uncouple. I don't want to do that. I want windscreen wipers. Okay, that's doing it by hand. Oh, I've used the window wipers. Ooh. Oh, there we go. Better put the rear valve on too so we can see out that way. Put these on as well. Should have all our wipers running now. Yay! So this time I actually did need all this time to set this up. It's very, very dark. We have 6 cars of sugar beets. Do a quick start. Our points should be fine. They are. Let's hop outside for a bit. Good night, British Ace. Have fun. Patriotal61 says it's a boogie plus 2 boogies. Dave Randall says it's 2 powered, 2 uncovered. Richard says 060 in the UK. What would be on the 365, yes. Whorehouse says if you're late in every stop, you usually won't get gold. Yes, that's very true. Lexic Dark puts a pipe in it. Lexic Dark can see clearly now. That's good. Sleep well, British Ace. Remember, folks, if you haven't looked at British Ace's channel, please do so. He's quite entertaining and he knows his stuff. I like the way the snow's on the trees up there on the hill. That's cool. And Dave has 2 powered and 2 uncovered, which I assume you mean unpowered axles. He's actually pretty much correct. Dave Randall said, has the rain gone dark? The rain's gone thick. We're in a snowstorm. Remember not to move the camera around too much. It's quite horrible when you're watching it. So when you're using Indusy or PZB90, in fact any PZB I think, how do you drive through a red signal when you have the authority? So you're allowed to do it. How do you do it? Yes, snow is just thick mist, really. Many answers going on here. Override is the correct answer. Bethel, Patriel61, you get the points. You do also have to be under 40 kilometers an hour, but the override button is the key bit. So we head for Nidertalbahn. We're gradually speeding up. Like the squiggly plough lines. Kind of cool. Buttons Bethel, B-E-F-E-L. The rail bus was only used on light branches. What changed with the 628 to make it available for mainline usage? And I'm looking at 3 things, and each one is worth points. High-speed freight coming through. Sorry about your shoes, folks. Put snow all over them. You can't breathe tea, just saying. That was uncomfortable. Increase in top speed and stronger brakes, yes. There's one more thing. Better comfort, indeed. That was it. Excuse me. Coughing. Don't try and breathe tea. It really doesn't work. Light bit of braking to get us back down to 40 k's. That's enough. Lexic Dark suggests I should try snorting my tea. Very good. Oh well. Alrighty, the 628 got the nickname Wonder Dude. What does it mean? Oh, and I've missed acknowledging something. Probably the 40 kilometre an hour speed sign. That's okay. I need more time to ask more questions anyway. This is going to be over too quickly. On quiz days, maybe I just shouldn't run PZB. That's probably a good idea. On quiz days, I'll turn PZB off. I think that's a good idea. Very much. It does smell like winter, Blast Pop. We are coming into winter in Melbourne. It was quite wintry at the start of the day yesterday. It was quite cold going up to the railway, but by the end of the day it was very pleasant. I took quite a bit of video yesterday, just plonking my GoPro onto the train with a magnet, so I'll produce something for people to look at. Dave Randall has Travelling Man. It might be a bit esoteric, this particular reference. And I think it was a bit of a quip about the train's speed. Blast Pop says, here in the northeast USA, we're exiting winter, not fast enough. Yeah, I can understand why you wouldn't want to be in winter there. So, somewhat more disruptive than winter in Australia. We're probably doing a cross here. Our little engine waddles. Do a comfortable crawl up to the red light. Definitely anything fast, not slow boy. The reference was actually that it was as fast as a shifting or drifting sand dune. I.e., it would inevitably move at some point, and it might move a long way, but it doesn't move very fast. And it also got that nickname because it was bad on hills. So largely the 628 was a reliable machine, but it did have one really well-known issue. What was it? Guess we're waiting for a cross. I like that. Wait till 11:29. Wait till 11:30. NJT says when traction conditions are poor, the 628 may not reach the speeds required by the timetable due to its low adhesive weight. It is a very light machine, and we had machines that suffered the same problem. They were called sprinters, and they were quite similar machines too. But we've replaced those with diesel flirts. PZB activation? No. Think summer. We are doing a cross. Excellent. There we go. NJTE got it. Well done. Overheating. As we wake our little train up again. You should be careful typing such long answers, NJTE. Yeah, air conditioning definitely would have been useful, but wasn't a reliability thing. Lexic Dark says throw a couple of cement bags in the back of the Mopar, it helps get the power down. Indeed. This one might be a little bit interesting for you to find. What is the German word for local freight trains? And I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. We're going our way to Bad Vilbel, which will be our final stop today. Perhaps not, Richard. In fact, while we're cruising along, I should translate the points from the station names. There we go, that's done. Hello, BG. How are you? Oh, painting houses. That's such a delightful thing to do, isn't it? Not much fun there. Hope you're good, BG. Hope everyone's good for that matter. That's actually a different word than what I had, but it's very close to it. So, I'll give it to you. It's just, all it is a different order. So, Lexic Dark, you get the points. Alrighty, the 365 has an automatic coupler. Let's just have a look on the outside of our train. If I can. Come on, you. Do what you want. So it has... Well, look, there's the answer right there. So it has an automatic coupler, but can you also use this coupler? Middle of a house renovation. That's, yes, never particularly pleasant. It starts out fun, and then it just turns into crap, really. Yeah, well done, Dave, yes. Alrighty, what's next? The 365 has a version of PZB. What's its short name? It has a short name and it has a ridiculously long name. VG says last house move ever. We're still married at least. Yes. Everybody says it's their last house move, then they do it again. So I'm also going to want the long name for the system. I've still got questions left. We'll probably have to do a another service just to get through all the questions. Because I was a bit slow at the start. So it's not Nozzy, but it's... Yeah, I'll give you the points though. It's Indusy, and I could see how it would sound like that. Indusy 60. Does anybody know what its really long name is? And I'll take it in English or German. Spelling of Indusy, if I put that on there, so I-N-D-U-S-I. Well done, Lexic Dark. It's basically the inductive train control system, or train safety system. The main difference between Indusy 60 and the modern PZB is that the Indusy 60 does not monitor your braking curve. So the other one, if you're actually going to get to the speed, it figures it out and it leaves you alone. Indusy 60 does it in a different way, a much simpler way. So how does it check your speed when you're required to slow down? Yes, Dave Randall, the ICE3, shouty German stop person. That's it exactly. Guesses from the other people, though. I like shouty German stop person. Should we give Dave Randall points for shouty German stop person? You guys can choose. Got guesses of wheel rotation, timing over distance, markers. I-60 added the 1000 hertz, it did. Yes for Dave. Okay, Dave gets points. Seems that's fairly popular. Dave gets some extra points. We hear the air brakes come off there as we're coming into Bad Vilbel. Nice overgrown siding to our left here, which has a rail crossing sign in the middle of it, which does certainly tell you that it's not used at all anymore. The answer to that one, since we're running out of time, is the train must slow to 60 kilometres an hour in under 34 seconds. So I suppose timing over distance, lexic dark, I'll give you the points. It's close enough. So when the yellow lamp, which is this centre one here, is flashing, what does that mean? Do the gratuitous bridge shot and the gratuitous screenshot for Dovetail Live. Because why not? I should do something for Steam too, really, shouldn't I? It's Control F12, isn't it? Yeah, there goes a 4K screenshot into Steam. Richard, you're... Yes, Richard, he is correct. You're doomed. I'll give you the points on that. It means the emergency brakes have been applied. Am I starting to go backwards? I think I am. I slowed down a bit too much. When, back over here again, when the blue and yellow lamps are both alternately flashing, what does that mean? And we have the answer anyway. It's 1000 Hertz is active. But you said it for the previous question, but I'll give it to you, Patriolda61. Good enough. And getting into the next question, I know we're running quickly. What speed limit is required when driving a 365 over a 500 Hertz magnet so you don't get stopped? Hello, Uberk. Welcome. I do quite like this screenshot, so we're going to do another high-res one. High-res ones do pause the game when you take them because it has to do a 4K frame. We've got 2 suggestions of 25. Dave Randall with 40, yes. It is 40 kilometres an hour over the 500 Hertz magnet. It's 25 on most trains, but the 365 does let you do 40. I think we might screenshot that too. What do you reckon? And one of those as well. You know, because I'm me. Wouldn't be me if I wasn't me. That's a weird thing to say. What is the full name in German for SIFA? We're heading into Bad Vilbel and I'm driving deliberately slowly so we can finish our questions. Besides, slow's more fun on freights. This is actually about the speed I was driving the real train at yesterday. 9 to 10 mile an hour. Seems much faster in a real train, I have to say. But that's not nice, Dave Randall. Dave Randall says annoying woman. Patriottle61 with someone being loud and annoying. I'd have to give bonus points for those, though. Kind of cute answers. Look at those snowed-in concrete trucks. This is quite pretty as well, you know. Very industrial. And if I had PZB running, I would have to acknowledge the next signal. But I don't, so I'm not going to. How are our points set? Coming in here, they appear to be perfectly okay. It's interesting that there's a path over on that point. That's a bit weird. Yeah, we should try before we go. I haven't tried doing anything in Scenario Planner with this. I want to see what the endpoints are and what you've got. Hello, Lord Tacticus. I'm having a good morning. We're not terribly far off finishing this stream, but... Lexic Dark's got it. Well done, Lexic Dark. And I'm not going to try and say that, but yep, well done. And I think to Patriotal and Dave, I think bonus points, because, you know, being funny's worthwhile. Get into the cab so I can see how much brake I'm applying. Just a light bit of brake, maybe a little bit more. Turn our wipers off now because it's not snowing anymore. This will probably distract me long enough to crash the train at the end, right at the end of the service. Wouldn't that be funny? Let's kick the brakes off. It's interesting you always talk about kicking the brakes off. And the reason that they say that is because brake handles have a overcharge quick release, and that's the kick. What do we got for our next question? The route has a P-board. What does it mean? People waiting for their trains to come in? Blowing the horn. Dave Randall for the win. You've done pretty well on the points today, Dave. JTE's been a little bit missing in action, so you're closing the gap. That would probably be the end of our run, I suspect. What are the... Very good, Lexic Dark. What are the collectibles on Niddertalbahn? Uncoupled vehicles. Interestingly, with the wording of relief requirements from our friend Lexic Dark there, do you know that in the world of railways we have train requirements, engine requirements, and human requirements? Human requirements are quite obvious. It means you either taking a food break or you're going to the toilet. The engine requirements can be things like water or coal, or cleaning out ash pans or fuel. And train requirements are usually things like stocking up the train for whatever it needs. It's just kind of interesting. We have... Patriotal 61 was the first one with milk bottles. We actually don't have maps, Dave Randall. Don't believe. And we have Celtic stones from Dave and posters. So those are correct. I don't believe this route actually does have route maps. And there goes a very fast 103. Some ICE carriages. One more. One more collectible. We've seen a few of them, but I haven't stopped to do it. We crawl towards our stocking point. While people are trying to figure out, no, the turtle's not actually a collectible. No violin boxes on this one. While people are trying to figure out the last collectible, what railway operated Niddertalbahn when it opened? And I'll accept it in German or English. Neil TV8, well done, crossing signs. Well done to you. Narrowly beating Patriotal 61 for the same answer, and Dave. Ooh, nicely done, Neil. Just got in there. As we crawl towards the end of our stream because I've got 2 more questions. I want to ask them. So while people are searching for what railway company operated Niddertalbahn when it opened, and I'll accept it in, it wasn't DB, I will accept it in English or German, either is fine with me. And you know what? I do believe NJTE just got it. Well done to NJTE. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but it's the Prussian Hessian Railway Company, or in German, as NJTE got it, and narrowly edging out Dave. Final question for today. What is the Nidder? So we're on Niddertalbahn. What is the Nidder? To be down there. Not up here, game. Down here. There we go. This will be one of those screenshots I use to really annoy people on Dovetail Live. And I get comments about them. But I never actually care. Well, we've got Dave Randall gone for a guess of valley. It's close. Something in the valley. NJTE, it is a river. You are correct. I'll check and see if it's also the valley. Because if it is, I'll give you the points, Dave, as well. Hello, Rizoki. How are you? We are almost finished this stream, although at the end of this, I do want to check what endpoints you can actually have in Scenario Planner. So we might quickly knock a scenario together. That's the end of the quiz for today. So let's get our points. It's almost time to stop. Quick apply on the independent brake. Today's quiz. Dave Randall is the winner for the day on 330. NJTE second with 100 points. Patriol 61, third with 70 points, followed by Lexic Dark with 50, followed by Florian with 30, Neil TV 8 with 20, and the remaining people are on 10, which is Richard, SIT. Actually, I've got Richard here twice. So Richard, you're actually on 20, because I've got you here twice. There we go. Good quiz today. And let's just jump into Scenario Planner. I'll put the leaderboard up for the years to date on the quiz. I was actually thinking what I might post is the quiz winners each week. I might start doing that and the leaderboard. There's an idea. NJT says Rizoki is the one who called one of your viewers a DTG fanboy after said viewer said you should have seen some of Rivets and Skyhook products. Said viewer is David Park. Oh, well, you know, David is David, isn't he? Let's go into Creators Club Scenario Planner. We shall select Niddertalbahn. Why do I have no other routes there? Well, that's weird. I have other routes turned on. Well, that's a bit weird. test. Imaginative, isn't it? And I don't want off the rails because I only want its trains. And because all I want to do is see what the endpoints are. So we've got the stations. Oh, good. We've got some sidings. More platforms. We've got more sidings at Heldenbergen. That's good. I like that. Okay. It's not a bad selection. Where's Bad Vilbel? Is it there? Oh, it is there. We do have a siding at Bad Vilbel. That's not a bad selection of stuff that you'll be able to make scenarios with. That's good. Alrighty. I'm not actually going to make one today, but I will find out why I don't have any other routes there. It's interesting. Next week. What is next week? I've forgotten what next week is. Let me go have a look. Let me just go and have a look. Isn't it sad? I'm going to go look myself up on YouTube to find out what my next thing is. How sad's that? Next week will be spending the day on Southeastern High Speed with the new 37 class, so that should be fun. I might also show off the Rio Grande. I think I might do a split stream with the 37 at the start, maybe, and the Rio Grande at the end, and we'll see how that goes, because the 37 probably won't last the amount of time that I like to stream. All right, thank you very much, folks. I hope you enjoyed yourselves, and I will pop up the winners of today's quiz and the leaderboard shortly, and then I will go out and I will mow the grass, because that's exciting kind of thing, and I might spread some horse poo out in the greenhouse. That also sounds exciting as well. So thank you very much for joining in. Thank you for just being you guys, I guess, and enjoy. It is lunchtime, you're right. It's pretty close. I am hungry. All right, have fun, folks. See you later. Thanks for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I always like to get your feedback in the form of likes and comments because they help me understand what you want. Give the channel a subscribe and click on the tinkly things so you don't miss out on any new stuff. And thanks for your ongoing support. And please, be safe out there.